And it is the voice of Indiana County, WCCS 101.1 FM and AM 1160. Our conversation with Heather Zehr from Accuweather, brought to you by Marcus and Mack, a law firm representing injured people. Heather, should I be ducking my head with this stuff that's coming in today?
Yeah, I would get ready. It is going to turn into, well, just basically a really big mess for more than just our immediate area. It's actually going to be a really big mess over a big part of the country.
Yeah, I know. The way that this is massive, this storm that's coming this way.
It really is, and a large part of the reason that that's the case is just because of the way it's kind of set up, where we have one high-pressure area, which is already kind of chilly, that's kind of holding the whole storm system up by sitting just off the eastern seaboard. We've also got another Arctic air mass coming down out of Canada, and so in between the two, this front has kind of gotten sandwiched a little bit, and that's keeping it from moving very quickly. So normally what would be a situation where a front would come through and would there be a short window of precipitation followed by maybe another round, another half a day to a day later, is turning into just an extended stretch of wet weather, and a lot of it, unfortunately, coming as frozen precipitation.
Couple of things for here in Indiana County. First of all, Heather, this county is odd in that the southern portion of the county is sometimes completely different weather-wise than the northern portion of the county. How is the split going to be this time? Or is there even a split? Is it all going to be snowy, rainy, icy stuff all over Indiana County, or how's that going to work?
Well, I think there will be, but I could still see kind of a big split where northern parts of the county end up changing over to snow more quickly, where southern areas may kind of stew around, unfortunately, in the kind of icy stage for longer. So in that sense, we could actually end up with at least somewhat worse conditions across the south, just because you do have at least a period where you have that freezing rain falling, and of course that's about the worst thing to drive in. You just can't get traction in that kind of weather. So I think there's a little higher risk over southern Indiana County of getting a longer period of ice, and then more snow over northern Indiana County. So snow amounts may be a little bit higher, ice amounts a little less. In the end, it's not going to matter a great deal. Travel is just going to be a mess.
And how easy is it to time this out for us hour by hour? I mean, is there a specific time frame when we should say, okay, here it comes?
Well, pretty tricky because the front is being held up today by this high pressure that's off to the east, and the fact that a low pressure area is going to be forming down kind of over the southwestern part of the Tennessee Valley. As that comes northward, then the cold air will begin to press a little bit more, but it does look like at least through the morning hours and maybe through all of today, we're actually just going to have some rain. The temperatures will be continuing to get colder. I think we kind of fall slowly through the 30s, but it will be, at that point, just a cold rain for a good part of the day. Then as we get into the later part of the day, possibly for northern parts of the county, it's by the time people are getting ready to head home from work. Over the rest of the county, probably more like 7 or 8 p.m., we start to get that temperature approaching the freezing mark and a changeover to freezing rain. And unfortunately, I do think through the evening hours, it is likely to be mostly a freezing rain situation. Then after midnight, this cold air at the surface gets deep enough to turn the freezing rain over to some sleet. And then from there, we see a turnover to snow, but that probably doesn't take place until pretty late tonight, especially in southern Indiana County.
Heather Zehr is with us from Accuweather. We're talking about this coming storm that is about to hit in Indiana County and all across Pennsylvania. Heather, at this time of the year, it's not infrequent that we get these sorts of weather events, is it?
It unfortunately is not, and especially now between the early part of February and then as we start to get into March and get closer to the turnover to spring, we start to get situations where ice can be more of a concern. So this may be the first really big ice potential for the season. It's probably not the last. Is
this thing all done with us by about noon tomorrow?
That it is, and that probably is the best news, is that even though it is going to be an extended stretch, we do have that long period where it is going to be rain first. Then we do have that window for the frozen precipitation, but the last of the moisture is kind of clearing out of here by midday tomorrow. So, yeah, I think we have tomorrow afternoon to be able to start to clean things up and start to get things back into shape. Unfortunately, the downside is that, as we said, that is an Arctic air mass, and so it's pretty cold tomorrow. So it's going to be a day to bundle up while you're cleaning up.
Heather Zehr with us from Accuweather. Okay, that's the really serious stuff, Heather, but the really, really serious stuff is this groundhog up in Punxsutawney and what he said yesterday.
Yes.
Let's look long-term at the rest of this winter and these next 6-8 weeks and tell us what we should be expecting.
Well, certainly through the middle of the month, we are basically continuing the pattern that we've been in to continue, where we kind of get our rounds of cold air, and in some cases very cold air, and then we kind of try to warm up for a little while, get a little precipitation event, usually in the form of frozen precipitation, and then we get another cold blast. And I think that pattern is going to continue through at least the middle of the month. Then as we start to get into the later part of the month, maybe we see some changes. But overall, I think that the concern is going to be that we continue to have below normal temperatures. Fortunately, I also don't think we're going to have excessive amounts of precipitation, and most of the storms are not going to be of the 2-day variety like what we're seeing in this case. So hopefully that can keep frozen precipitation to a minimum.
Is February 2nd like a holiday for you folks at Accuweather? Big celebrations going on, or are you shaking your fist at Punxsutawney?
Oh, no, much more the latter. There's a lot more fist shaking going on than anything else. We actually like to celebrate the Day for Meteorologists on February 5th, which is our holiday, Weather Person's Day.
Really?
Yes,
wow.
Yeah, that actually is a thing. That is based on what was the birth of a man back in 1744 whose name is John Jeffries, and he's kind of considered one of America's first weather observers and kind of first weather quote-unquote professionals. So since February 5th was his birthday, that's where we celebrate National Weather Person's Day. So you can send the cards on the 5th.
So he's on Mount Rushmore for meteorologists. Oh,
that's
man.
right, yes. He's pretty much right there in the prime spot, in the George Washington spot.
Is there a spot reserved for you, Heather?
Not just yet, but we're working on it.
Hey, and seriously, days like today when you have these big weather events coming in, does the excitement level go up at Accuweather? You folks you get on the edge of your seat and start pushing buttons and can't wait to talk about weather?
Oh yeah, very definitely. I mean, most meteorologists, this is kind of our bread and butter. It's what we really get into, and kind of the reason that we got into this kind of a career in the first place. So yeah, the adrenaline gets high, people are pumped, and a lot going on.
All right, Super Bowl for meteorologists is
yes.
a day like today. Heather Zehr, you've been very kind to spend some time with us. I appreciate it, and thank you.
Hey, my pleasure.
Have a great day.
All right, thanks. You too, and we'll talk to you later.
Very good.
See you later.
Very